Welcome back to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You're here with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish, how are you?
I am okay. Can I be honest? Can I be brutally honest? Since we're live, I mean, it's just you and I, right?
No
Um,
one's watching.
I know, right? No, so we started this, gosh, 2.5 years ago just to truly take a work break. And there were many times it was a work break, and there were many times it was actually just more work. But
Mm.
today, I literally just 5 minutes ago got up from a nap. So it's a
Wow,
true.
good for you. You're really, yeah, embracing
No,
it. It's Friday. It
it's
makes sense.
Friday. And here's my question for you. So I've been sick, and I have to tell everybody that, we've worked together now for many years, and you're so helpful whenever I am
No,
sick or something like that is
no,
off. So thank
that's
you.
all anyone says. It's people are talking.
You
Yeah, for
are.
sure.
But so many people don't have the luxury of sort of taking care of themselves when they aren't 100%. And we just recorded an episode with Josh Schwady from Spotlife, and we were talking
We
about
did.
burnout and just self-care and all of that. And I thought, you know what? I just needed like a power nap, like a 15-minute. And I did it, and I feel so much better. So
I don't know that
anyway,
I can
thank
do
you
a
for
15-minute nap. I don't think I would bother. Like if that's all you could do is 15 minutes. I feel like I might feel worse
I don't
after that
know.
than better.
I've read there have been studies, they say 15 or 20 minutes is about right. And I feel more
I don't know.
energized now. I was exhausted, but I think that's it. We don't listen to our bodies, especially when we're kind of under the weather, and we just keep pushing ahead and working and whatever. And I knew we had this coming up. I knew we wanted to do this at top of the hour. So I'm like, I gotta take a little nap. So
All right, fair
anyway,
enough.
fair enough. So how are you? What's up?
I am well. I've been certainly busy. You mentioned we recorded a show with Josh from Spotlife the other day, which is, I think, going to run next week.
Yes.
We've been so busy with travel and sort of doing lots of content related to the travel that we've done, both from the iSolved event that you and Karen were at, the
Mm-hmm.
Oracle event that we all were at, and we recorded some content, some shows there. I was just out in Oklahoma City earlier this
Oh, that's right.
week visiting our friends at Paycom, as well as going to my first Oklahoma City Thunder game. As you may well know, Trish, and listeners may not know, Paycom is the sponsor of the arena.
Mm-hmm.
The Paycom Center is where the Oklahoma City Thunder actually play their games. And so Paycom and the Thunder were super nice to us and welcomed us both out to Paycom, where we did some stuff, and as well as to the Paycom Center, where we recorded some content and some shows with some members of the Thunder staff, which was really cool. And then got
Yeah.
to go to the game. This would have been a couple nights ago. And they treated us, let's just say they treated us very well. It was the best seat I ever had for a professional sporting event in my life, and was incredible night. So thank you to Paycom. Thank you to the Thunder. And so, yeah, I've been all morning working on some of that content. So
Yeah.
maybe we should just jump into it, Trish, on this here show, this video property, if you will, this work break property, a
Yes.
slew of shows coming next week. So even before I mentioned that, I did run the show I recorded with Tiffany Gamblin, our friend from Paycom.
I saw that
It ran, I think, yesterday
yesterday.
on
Yesterday.
this feed, and it's also out on Twitter. It's out on LinkedIn. It's on our YouTube page as well. Super, super fun doing that with Tiffany. And then next
I liked her
week,
costume. I liked her Halloween
yeah, it was
costume.
Halloween day as we recorded. I dressed
Mhm.
as like an insurance agent, I guess, because I was wearing a suit. But Tiffany had some
Yeah, you looked
costuming going
great.
on.
You're like a
Yeah,
sportscaster or
but
something.
we'll be doing some stuff. You're traveling next week, as well as am I. So we've got a whole slate. Maybe you lead with what you're up to next week, and then I'll fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Again, it's such a fun time of year. I'm so glad travel is back because we get to go out, we get to talk to these vendors, we get to see them in person, we get to see all the work they've put into all of their products, talk innovation, talk to customers. So next week, I'm going to be starting my week with our friends at UKG, which they've been doing so much, honestly. And so I'll be with Cecile Alper LaRue and
Right.
um, you know, uh, Jennifer Brofman and Opal and just all the people there, which is going to be amazing. And they've got so many fun things planned for the analysts to really update everyone. And so I'll be reporting live from there on Monday. And then later in the week, I'm going to be with our friends at Ceridian. and I haven't seen them for 2 years. It has been a long pandemic. So I'm super excited to get back to Ceridian, and again, it's just that sense of normalcy and kind of knowing what's going on. So anyway, that'll be Wednesday. So those will be my 2 days. I'll be live Monday at UKG, Wednesday at Ceridian. And I know you've got content then on some of the other days you might
Yeah,
wanna
so when I was out at the OKC Thunder the other day, I pre-recorded 3 short videos that we're going to run here as work breaks. They're all about 4 to 5 minutes a piece, so they're short.
Yeah.
I sat down with 3 different gentlemen. The one was the director of events and entertainment, so the person responsible for
Ooh,
basically the in-game experience, everything
yep.
but the actual game. So the entertainment, the
Okay.
halftime show, the dancers, the cheerleaders, the
Ooh,
activities that
don't give
go
away too
on,
much. That
the
actually sounds really
contest.
cool.
So we talked to that gentleman whose team
Okay.
is responsible for that. We talked to one of the vice presidents of ticket sales and fan experience, and we didn't really talk a lot about ticket sales. We talked a lot about data and data informing the
Oh,
customer experience with him. And the third person
okay.
we talked to was involved in training. So training the staff. You go to a basketball game or concert, any of those big
Yep.
events, there are literally hundreds of folks working in those
Mhm.
venues. And so he talked a little bit about how they're trained and how they're certified and how they instill like the customer service values that they're trying to live up to, right? And especially for the
Yeah.
in-game experience. So we talked about training, and it's great. It's 3 different shows. They're about 4 to 5 minutes each. They'll run during the course of next week on this feed as well. So I'm excited about them. And actually, all morning I've been sort of editing them and getting them ready to load for next week. That's kind of what I've been up to today.
Well, good, good. Hey, I know we don't have much longer, but I do wanna at least ask you, jobs report is out, right? I
Yes.
was tweeting a little bit of the sort of the pre-reporting yesterday at you, and, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Obviously, there's lots of stuff, going on with different, Twitter layoffs, mass layoffs, and all sorts of other things going on in the world with regard to work, but what are your thoughts on kind of the status of the jobs today?
Yeah, it was interesting. I got up early to make sure I was like on board, had my coffee going for the announcement this morning, 8:30 Eastern time. But
Yeah.
yeah, so jobs up 261,000 for October, above sort of the estimates. No one asked me for my estimate, but the estimates were about 200,000 and some upward
It was
revisions to
very
prior months as
surprising,
well.
right?
Unemployment did tick up, right? We were talking about that the other day.
Yep,
Ticked up to 3.7%.
yep.
Wage growth was strong, but sort of moderating as well. So all in all, it was a pretty good report. It's funny because once the economic recovery started happening uh,
Mhm.
from the depths of the pandemic, right? We've seen some months with huge job increase numbers, 400, 500, 600,000. So
Right.
260,000 maybe doesn't seem like a lot in that context, but if you go back to pre-pandemic, that would have been a really, really stellar month. We would have said,
Yeah,
wow, over 250,000 jobs created. That's
right?
really, really strong. So
I know.
it was a good month overall in terms of the labor market. My sort of assessment overall is labor market is still pretty good. It's still tight
Mhm.
though. It's still a worker's market. Yes, there are the layoffs that you hear, especially the tech company layoffs, Twitter layoffs are going on like as we speak. That makes huge, huge news. But again, I feel bad about anybody losing their job at any time, right? For any
Yeah.
circumstances. So I'm not making light of that. But we're talking the US labor market. That's, maybe a couple thousand people, right? That
Right.
it's such a small number. Those tech layoffs that we hear so much about don't really move these numbers very much, if at all, when we're talking about in a given month about 6.5 million hires and about
That's right.
6 million separations per month, every single month, right? So labor market's still pretty tight and it's still a good workers market. And literally everywhere I go, we've been traveling a lot. I
Mhm.
feel like every single place I've gone has got a help want and sign up still, right? 2.5 years into the pandemic.
It does. One thing I would like to just kinda watch, though, I was listening, to the news this morning, and they were talking about ZipRecruiter's been doing some research and talking about how they're starting to see some changes, though, in the way that organizations are going about their hiring. So, again, it's probably just early days, but I think organizations are starting to just ratchet it down a little bit. They're starting to pull it back in a little bit. So, I do think you're right. I think that it's absolutely still a market for the employee at this point, but you better watch it. If you don't have a job right now and you've been holding out and you've been trying to like ride this out and I'm going to work from home permanently, whatever. I don't know. I feel like that's going to change pretty quick. So
Maybe.
I don't know. People need to watch. Just be careful.
I feel like
Be
at some
careful.
levels we're like talking ourselves into a recession that doesn't really exist.
Oh, it could be. It could be. I don't know. Again, I'm usually not overly cautious on this stuff,
Mhm.
honestly, but it was enough to where it just kind of gave a little twinge like, ooh, okay. And it's the timing of the year, the end of the year, holidays. There's always lots of layoffs anyway in the holidays. I don't know.
And also,
Don't
but also lots
know.
of hiring, right? Hundreds of thousands of folks get
For
hired,
certain types,
at least
yes.
temporarily, right?
For
So,
certain
yeah,
temp
we know that's
workers, yes.
happening.
But yeah, but a lot of like organizations that don't have those temporary positions, that's your time to cut loose. So I don't know. I'll be honest. Every job I ever worked, I think it was always right before Thanksgiving was the first big cut. I hate that.
Happy
I hated that.
holidays. Pack up your
Right?
locker, that kind of thing.
Seriously, I couldn't even. But by the last time that happened at a place I worked, like I'd been through it enough years, I was like ready for it. But and not to me, but where I have to go deliver those messages, I was just like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this one more time, seriously. Like, can we just let people have a Thanksgiving dinner and then, like, go let them go? But
Yeah,
no.
we'll save that for another show, and we'll talk about,
Another
like,
show.
sort of the best time to give someone really bad news on the job.
Yeah, never. I don't know. Anyway, hey, everyone, thanks for listening in. Thanks for following along. We do like being back. Like I said, we're going to be back on the road next week. Steve's got some really exciting shows for you all. I hopefully will have 2 exciting shows for you all, and we'll catch you back here next week. Have a great weekend.